I remember days they used to laugh at me. Used to show them on my records talking casually. Used to say it was a passion on my path to be. Then they told me that I couldn't, so I had to be. Tell me what they really think about it now. Used to hate it, but I guarantee they're proud. Had to do it just to show them that I could, yeah. Now I finally think I took it where I should, yeah. Had a jokes on you and now you're on and laughing. I did a whole lot of winning. Look, it came from a passion. I see a whole lot of knowings. I could see now in public and that may think a lot of things. Man, at least think something, now you the judge. Hey, now tell me where you ended up, yeah. Look, I bet it was a simple job, yeah. Look, I went and took a different route, yeah. Look, that's why my life is different now. Back in my feelings, look, when I wasn't so gifted and I was learning to do this, and all I heard were the critics, and I don't blame you for that shit. Look, I was way out the basis, but I just needed some talent so I could wait this to greatness, oh yeah. You ain't ever think this, no, no, no. Stop me while I started, homie, whoa, whoa. Now this shit settled, it's go better and better, but I'll always remember, yeah, yeah.
What's happening, everybody? Back on That One podcast. It's your boy C-Roc here. I'm in the home studio, That One studio, and I have an amazing guest for you today. We're going to find out what makes her that one, but you know, the success that she's had is just one part of her. I had a connection call with Kathleen Cameron. I think she goes by KCB. We'll talk about that in a little while here. But I had a connection call with her, 15 minutes. I reach out to people on Instagram. Some of you know that I do this. Some of you listening, I've reached out to before, and that's how we connected. But we did a little connection call, 15 minutes, and I absolutely fell in love with her energy. She was different. There's something about her, and I was trying to put my finger on it, and then I got it. When I was starting to ask her what she's working on and what her vision is and all this that I do on these calls, I got it. I was like, okay, I got it now. I see where, because she thinks differently than most people, and then she gets different results than most people, which we'll talk about here today. So I have Kathleen Cameron. She's the world's top manifestation mentor. Her company, Diamond Academy, has skyrocketed to international acclaim, generating over $30 million in under 4 years. And she's helped thousands of people transform their lives with her innovative approach to the art of expansion. Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. And as I told you before we started recording, I was looking forward to this because I have so many questions for you. And you know, there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that I honestly, before I knew and understood manifestation and how the mind works, I thought, oh, coincidence, or I put in a lot of hard work. Yeah. And then once I started grasping some of these concepts, I'm like, oh, I control this. And, you know, I believe that we're created by God that gives us this power, and so many people underutilize it. So anyway, I'm excited to talk about this. Can we start, though, talking about where you came from first, before you were doing what you're doing now and had the success that you're having?
Of course.
Where did it all start for you?
Well, listen, I have always been a woman who has always wanted to achieve and always wanted to be successful, but I did so within a certain box. And I call it like the average life box. Like this story we're sold on is like, you know, go to high school, graduate, go to college or university, get a degree, get a job, hopefully pension and benefits, make $100,000 a year, get married, have babies, do that till you're 65, retire, and hopefully have, you know, another 20 years of quiet life with your husband once that's all said and done. So I followed that path. And so the career, I was a nurse for 12 years, and I moved up the healthcare administration ladder over those 12 years. And I always wanted to do more, help more people, achieve more. And I just piled the work on. So I had the babies, got more degrees, got more certifications, worked hard, you know, and worked a full-time job, commuted, and then I started adding businesses on top of it to try to do more, achieve more, until I was like exhausted, burnt out, tired, and was just like, what am I doing all of this for? Like, what is this life? And that was in 2019, right before COVID, where just everything pivoted for me.
So wait a minute. So tell me, I want you to elaborate a little bit on this 2019 moment. Like, was there like a time riding up to it and you weren't confronting it, and then that's when the shit hit the fan, so to speak?
Oh, and yeah. Yeah, it was I would say about 2 years where I was working full time, also looking after my two littles at home. And I was also working on getting healthy. Well, really getting skinny. I'll say that now because now I understand that I'm healthy, but I wanted to be thin. I wanted to look small. So I was trying to get skinny. Working hard at that. I was trying to make more money, so I launched a side business. Working full time, trying to do really well over there, trying to be a really great mom. And it all came down in early of 2019, and I got sick. I actually got vasovagal syncope, so I started fainting 3 to 5 times a week.
Wait a minute. Slow down. Because that was really fast. You said that, and I have no idea what that is. What was it called again?
It's called vasovagal syncope. So
Okay, I'll have to look that up.
essentially I was fainting. So I was fainting 3 to 5 times a week in the middle of Walmart, Costco,
Oh my gosh.
with my kids. So I went on short-term disability, went off of work, lost my driver's license. I got to this place where the universe was really like, stop all things, like enough's enough. And I went off of work. And when it got to be about June, I made the decision that I'm not going to go back to work. That's it. So they were pushing me to come back. And I just felt the pressure. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to quit. And so I quit my nursing career in June of 2019. And I have never gone back since that day.
Yeah. So like, I love this stuff, by the way. So, because I changed careers when I was in my 40s. And it's crazy to do this because when you have a family and kids and all this other obligations, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm used to making this certain amount of money. How am I going to get back to that?
Yeah.
But it's all the wrong thinking based on what you do now, right? That's not the way to think.
Well, even at that time, what we did do too was we downsized. So we were in a house that was a larger size, more bedrooms. And for me to like quit my career, we moved into a house that we could afford on one income. That is not something I would ever do now. I would not plan for no money coming in. Like that's the complete opposite of the way I think now. But the old me did do that for sure.
Yeah. I had a mentor one time tell me, never downgrade your lifestyle. If you're going through something or whatever, like never downgrade your lifestyle. You set that lifestyle up and then you keep going. Because then you gotta. So yeah. So okay, so I want to point this out for a second. So when things happen like that you went through or that I went through, where I had to like make a move and the income started to slow down for whatever reason, you feel like this permanence, this feeling like, oh, that's it. We're not going to be able to go to the restaurants we're used to going to. We're not going to be able to buy the clothes we're used to like, the things we like, right? Like the lifestyle we want. This is it. It's over. You go through this, some people it's longer, but you go through this little window. It's not permanent until we're plucked from this planet. So, but we get that. Did you get that feeling? Like that's why you downsize and this is the way life's going to be. We can make it work and you settle.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It did feel like a settling at that time. And in terms of like my mood at that time, I was like really uninspired. It was like, well, this is deflating, especially for a woman who has always been so driven and motivated. It was like, But I found at that time, I just hung on to the last little bit of light I could find, the last little bit of hope that I could find. And I thought, okay, so what if this kind of like rock bottom moment, this going as low as I can go, is actually just a jumping off point? And like, what if this is going to be a turn that's going to take me somewhere else? And so that's where I just started to follow my intuition. And I started to notice what came into my life when I started thinking that way. When I was thinking like, this sucks, this is awful, I'm so deflated, nothing was coming through. But when I went, what if this is a good thing? And what if this could be a pivotal moment? I started to see signs and I started to recognize things. That's when I met Bob Proctor. That's when he came into my life. When I started to see the light and the possibility of life, I called that beautiful man into my life and it changed everything, meeting him. Yeah. And I trusted that he was put in front of me for a reason, to help me to follow the light. He was kind of like my light, and it changed the whole course of my existence.
Yeah, so I want to get into that part, but before I do that, I wanted to ask you a question because I reached out to you cold, right? And it was genuine. I wasn't trying to sell you anything. I just love connecting with people. And then if somebody does something with us, great. If not, I know them and I can connect them with other people.
Yeah.
And so what were your thoughts when you got a DM from me, first of all, out of the blue? And then also like after our call, like, cause now we're on a set here. This is a virtual studio, but nonetheless, you're in my studio here.
Yeah.
And all that came to this. And then also we're getting to work with you and connect you with some amazing people. But what was your thoughts? I'm curious.
So for me, Instagram and especially direct messages are very, very important to me. I like to respond to people as much as I possibly can. I am not somebody that will have somebody else in there and you can never get a hold of me or talk to me or touch me. Like I'm saying that from where I'm at right now in this moment, but it is special to me. It's a community in my DMs, and I build connections in there, friendships, beautiful relationships. So I love when people are personable with me and show me their spirit and show me their voice and show me their heart. And so your message, when it first came in, I wasn't sure whether it was an automated, generally your team sending out things. And so I remember just responding, going like, oh, is this really Mike or is it someone else? And you sent me a voice note.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. And that's what I love. And that's why I paid attention, because it wasn't just some generic message. It wasn't just a script. It wasn't necessarily a team member that was sending it. It was another spiritual being connecting with another spiritual being on a social media platform, which is what I love. So that's why it resonated with me.
So I live in this, right? I do it every day, and I love connecting with people. But you know what? I didn't realize you just mentioned something about community and how the DMs can be your community. And here I'm being honest and vulnerable here with everybody here, because I sometimes think in my head like, man, I'd love to have a community where I have some kind of platform that we bring people into this community, and I do this and I do videos, this and that, and here I have it already. What am I talking about?
Absolutely.
But I'm always, you know what it is? It's comparing to other people what they have in their WhatsApp community or whatever. They don't have anything like what we have in our DMs. Like, but I didn't really think of it that way. You just blew me away. That's an aha moment for me.
Good.
Wow. It doesn't happen that often anymore, I'm telling you. Okay, so yeah, and I love the voice note when you could do it when you're driving. I don't have to type. But yeah, I'm happy to be connected with that, with you and your mission. And just like, you know, when I started doing what I was doing, Kathleen, I had my own mission, and it was all about the C-Roc brand. What are you made of? And I was going out there, and it was ego driven.
Yeah.
It's simply ego driven. I wanted to help people, but it was like, it had to be me doing it. Now that I switched, I had this aha moment one time where I was like, what if I were able to help other people and thousands of other people with their mission? Then it could be exponential. And so that's what I get excited about now. So with your mission, you met Bob, okay? And then how did you get introduced to Bob in the first place? Like his content or what have you? What was the first?
Oh, yeah. I think a girl that followed me reached out to me and said, hey, I'm going on this mindset training with one of Bob's coaches. Do you want to come and do it? And I was like, yeah, like I'm in a low place. I'm going to do this training. And I remember watching the training, and she kept talking about this man, Bob Proctor, from the movie The Secret. And I'd seen The Secret many years ago. I'd read the book, but I didn't remember any of the individuals that were in it or the experts. So I was like, okay. So then I started looking him up, and I remember the woman that I took the training with, I was like, I texted her and I DM'd her, and I said, when you're done teaching, call me. Like, I want to know what you're into. Like, I just knew in my heart that everything she said was truth. Like, truth was operating in me. And from that moment on, I have been a master at studying manifestation, mindset, metaphysics, spirituality, anything that has anything to do with creation. I am such a nerd about it, and it's become my specialty.
Yeah. And then, so then you started doing that, you immersed yourself in it.
Oh,
and then how in the heck did you, so when anybody starts a company, they always underestimate the amount of time, effort, resources. Everybody always does. And that's why Grant Cardone wrote this book called The 10X Rules, because he realized that like everybody underestimates the amount of effort it takes to achieve a goal. Right. But when you do 30 million in just under 4 years, I know what it's like. I've created 8-figure companies before, and I know the effort that went into it. I didn't always understand the mindset all the time.
Yeah.
But I know the stuff that goes like take us through how you did that. Like, cause you got to figure out what offers to put together. There's so much more into it than most people realize. What offers, what's the messaging, what's the audience? You go through this whole formula. Yeah. Take us through that journey.
So it's so interesting, because if there was some like professional business owner watching me, they probably would have been like, what on earth is going on? Because the entire thing was intuition guided. So I was a nurse. I had never run a business. I had never sold high ticket offers, coaching offers, never professionally coached or mentored everyone. Yes, I was in leadership for many, many years. So I have a lot of education training around leadership, but business ownership, never have I ever done anything like that. So I went into this with, okay, who's doing what I want to do? Let's see what they're doing and let's just go for it. And so I had one offer, and, I actually partnered with Bob and started by promoting his course. And so he told me like what he recommended that I sell it for. And I said, okay. And I just went for it. And
How much was that back then?
$6,250.
Okay, $6,250.
Yeah. One offer.
$6,250, just to be clear.
Yes. $6,250.
And at that time, what went through your head when he said that number? You just said okay, but like,
I had paid that. I'd paid more than that.
Yeah,
for it already.
yeah. So you believe?
So
you have
for
belief.
me, it was like, no, like my life had already been completely changed. I knew this work. I was manifesting everything and all things around me. My life seemed magical at that moment. So I had done 3 months of reprogramming of my subconscious mind and my identity when I launched my business in January of 2020. I'd gone from, all of September, October, November reprogramming, and then December decided to start my business and launched it officially January. And I went into it completely fearless, bold. I was certain that I was going to be successful. I was certain I was going to make $300,000 in 4 months. I convinced myself it was going to be easy and effortless and that the way would unfold. And so I made $1 million in 7 months, and I made $3 million in a year that year.
Wait a minute, doing the 6,250?
Yes, nothing else.
Okay.
6,250. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
sold 10 my first month.
You got a percentage, like an affiliate fee kind of thing. That's how the setup was.
Well, how it was is actually I paid a license fee for his program. So I gave him a small percentage of the 6,250. Yes.
Yeah. So okay, so I did this too with Cardone for a while. When I was first starting out of the mortgage business, I knew how to run businesses and all that, but I was like, this content is amazing. I want to help people. But I at the end of the day, and then this may be ego driven or it may be just the purpose, but I wanted to do my own thing. Like I wanted to do it and I created it, not somebody else's. So did you go through a phase where you were like, okay, and when did this come in, early on or not? Did you have this thing where you were like, I'm doing Kathleen Cameron at some point?
Well, it was absolutely a transition in my level of worthiness and the ways in which I saw myself. And so I ended up partnering with Bob for maybe a year and a half on that course. And then when I launched my own program, which is my signature offer right now, I have a course called Millionaire. And because I had become a millionaire so fast in like 7 months, so I took everything that I did and put it into this course. When I launched it, it sold twice as many as I was selling with Bob. And at that moment, I was like, you know what? This is what I need to be doing. And I have a different approach too. And what I was finding was I was using his course and his program, but I was talking about all of the things that were true to me and the differences and my own spin. And I talk a lot about, I've brought the feminine into the masculine. I was a very, very masculine woman before this. And I mean energetically in terms of go-getter, hustle.
Yeah.
And so now I've brought the feminine in. I've brought the ease and the flow, the effortless way. I've brought in meditation, visualization, spirituality. I've brought in the surrender, the softness into my life. And since all of that makes such a big difference, my results have completely changed. So now we're soaring and all of the content is all mine. Yeah. It's been mine for 3.5 years.
Yeah. And when you did that and you sold more, do you think it was because it was yours? First?
Because I think I was being authentic.
Yeah.
Like authenticity is one of the most magnetic vibrations out into the universe when you are being your authentic self. And so there was a little bit of discord when I was believing certain things and then they weren't necessarily in alignment. Not that anybody's wrong. It just wasn't my truth anymore. And so when I stepped into my full truth and my value and my worthiness and my purpose, and I did it in my way, things grew and grew and grew. So you got to be true to you. And that's the most important part.
So something that you said, and I talk about this a lot, not knowing the how before you commit.
Oh, I never have any clue how it's going to happen.
Most people, they don't know the how, so they won't commit. And that's not how it works. Like you have to know what you're committed to and have a clear vision and commit to that. And then all of a sudden that directs your attention. Your attention doesn't get directed until you have a clear intention. Absolutely. And so, so that's, you figured that out. You were taught that, I guess, by Bob or whatever. And then the how starts to appear. Now, the how you try things and doesn't always work. Not all the stuff works. I mean, unless it did for you. I don't know. Does everything work for you? Or do you still have some like things that don't work and you have to adjust?
I have an underlying belief that everything that I do works, and every single strategy that I ever try will be successful in some capacity. If it doesn't work, it's usually because I don't believe in it, I'm resistive to it in some way, or I don't like it. Like if I try to do a strategy that somebody recommends to me and then I do it, but I don't like it, it's not gonna.
Or do you classify it works also as not necessarily selling, but it works because it taught me something? You got something out of it.
Well, yes, that's the purpose behind everything.
Yeah.
Everything has a purpose. But I love how you use the word intention, because it's incredibly powerful. So one of the things that I find how the how reveals itself is through the intention that you set by directing source energy. So I get to decide how I want that creative energy, that source energy, that God energy, whatever terminology you use, it goes where I send it. And so if I'm saying, I'm not quite sure that this is going to be successful and I don't know how, that energy is going to be, oh, okay, we're not going anywhere right now. So what I do is I say, I would love this. This is the outcome that I desire. This is the creation that I would love. Let's direct and guide source energy towards it. The universe says, oh, okay, here we are. We're going to go there. We're going to send that energy there. And then the how is going to show up. All the people, all the places, all the experiences, the networks, the connections, the opportunities are all going to start going, oh, here you go, here you go, here you go. But if you're waiting for those first, you're not understanding that you're not actually in creation mode. You haven't done anything yet. You haven't directed the energy. So the energy has to be directed through decision, through intention, and through clarity. And then the how always shows up every time.
And what about the part of your intention and your desire? Does it come from you, or does it come from a higher power and you have to be open to listening to that, and it'll work better when it comes from that source versus what you desire, your ego or what have you?
Yes, I think it's twofold. So I believe that from the soul's perspective, from a higher spiritual perspective, awareness and understanding, you have a purpose, a call to good, a passion for this life if you're open to hearing it. So what I'm doing right now, it's my raison d'être. It's my reason for being. It's my call to good. Romans 8:28. It is what I am meant to do. But I had to listen, I had to hear it, and I had to follow that. But I wasn't open to that until about 2 years into that journey. The first 2 years were more ego-based. So they were more desire-based. So, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a productive use of the ego. The ego says, what's in it for me? So God's over here nudging me and saying, do this thing. And I'm not really listening because I'm not tapped in yet. But Kathleen Cameron, the human, I call her my human, the ego, the personal mind, was like, well, how can we get her moving? How can we get her to do something? Well, the ego wants to know what's in it for me. So that's where it was like, oh, I'd love $1 million. Oh, I'd love to manifest my dream house. I'd love a G-Wagon. And so the desire was built in the ego. And then it allowed me to tap into my spirit. But now I'm in this place where I'm more driven spiritually, but I still got to get my human going. So I do have these dreams and wishes and things. Like anybody who knows me knows that I'm manifesting my dream ocean home in Malibu. So that's one of the things that I put through my ego to want, so that Kathleen Cameron, the human, pushes a little bit harder when she's maybe a little bit tired, or she keeps going when maybe the world outside of her says that it's not going to happen. You know, there's those times we need those. And so that's the desire through the human.
Have you been in a house in Malibu yet on the ocean?
I'm there all the time.
Physically? No, physically though. I know you're there mentally. I know that about you.
No. I spend probably 3 to 4 months of the year in Malibu. Yes. Right.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. I didn't know if you've been there or you would just.
Oh no, I get as close to my manifestation as I possibly can. So I stay there all the time. I rent Airbnbs right now. I'm going on Sunday. I'm staying for 2 weeks in a beachfront Malibu house.
So I had never been. I had never been before. I've been to LA and I never went out to Malibu for some reason. I don't know why. And my first trip, I was driving down the Pacific Coast Highway out there, and I was like, holy cow, this is like, is this heaven? Like the view, the mountains, it's just like, I live in a flat area in Maryland. It's a beautiful, don't get me wrong, it's an ocean resort town, beautiful, but it's not like that. It's just not something different.
There is something about Malibu. I was actually there in November, and they had the fires, and I was evacuated, and
Yeah.
all these things. And at the time, people were like, "Oh, like, do you still want to go there?" And I'm like, it made me want to go there even more. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
So I was in September. I went out because I got invited to a party at Grant Cardone's Malibu place right on the ocean, and I was like, "Man, this is a private party. I'm going to this thing." So I moved things around. I did what I just, when you get invited to something like that, yeah, I'm gonna go. Like whatever, we're gonna figure it out. I told my wife, like, I'll tell you I'm going there, and I'll ask for forgiveness later or whatever. Like, so I went, and yeah, dude, at that place, yeah, I can see why you want that because I was just out there on the infinity pool that they have there, looking at the ocean. I mean, it's just like this is crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And they have the best sunsets, the Malibu sunsets. I walk it almost every day that I'm there. It's my favorite.
well, you can also see kind of the sunrise with the way it's facing
I actually
south.
see both, right where
Yeah.
I see the sunrise and the sunset. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, yeah, you're going to get that, and then I'll come out and visit you. All right. So, let's talk about how the personal life and relationship went when you made this transition. Because sometimes when people are a nurse and are grinding this and that, and then their spouse is like, "Oh, I don't even know you anymore." Like, I've seen this so many times where they're like, we're making a personal change, and it's for the better for the whole, but we know something, but not everybody else can see the vision yet. How did that go over with your husband?
Well, at the time, it was actually so interesting because neither of us had done very much personal growth and development. We had never studied ourselves. We both were really good at professional development. So we'll take a course how to be better at our jobs, but never on how to be better internally and within. And so when I started taking this personal growth and development, I started to change, and I started to get happier and more confident, and I started to love myself more and take care of myself more, all those things. And he was inspired, and he was very, very supportive. And, at first it was kind of like, what do you want to do? Like, you want to quit your job and you want to start a business, and like, you want to spend 10 grand on another personal growth and development course on yourself? Like, not a degree, like just like a course, But he was supportive, and he came along for the ride. And of course, life started to really it started to change so fast for us, so fast. Like, you can imagine, I made $18 million in 2 years flat. And so everyone around me, even the banks, were like, what scam are you on? Like,
Yeah, what kind of drugs are you selling?
Yeah, like, what's going on? And for 2 years, things were really, really great. And we got to this precipice, let's say, in 2022. I don't know if I've even discussed this with you, but in 2022, we started talking about our marriage and the way in which it was. And, I had changed so much. I was a completely different person. He hadn't done any work up to that point. And we did make the decision in 2022 to separate. So
I don't know. Okay.
yeah. So Chris and I, who is my business partner, and we co-parent, we've been separated now. Like, we haven't been in a relationship for 3 years, but we have made a decision to have the most beautiful outcome. And the outcome that we have is it's spectacular, truly.
That's good.
But what happened is when we separated in 2022, he went into personal growth and development. And so he's become a man now that I'm so incredibly proud of, and he's proud of. I know he's so proud of.
That's awesome.
And now we own several companies and businesses together. He's still one of my best friends. And we co-parent so beautifully, and we do it all with love. We spent Christmas together as a family. Like we always do. Like, nothing has changed, except we're just no longer in a romantic partnership. So I say, nothing has broken, nothing has fallen apart. It's actually just come back together to be even better than it was before.
Gotcha.
So yes,
All right.
relationships have changed.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. And apologize for digging. I didn't mean to do that, but
No, I'm public about it. We talk about it publicly. Yeah. Yeah.
I was curious about because I've been married 21 years now, and I'm always curious of the dynamic because I went through this with my wife, and I just want to be a living demonstration for other people to be inspired in my household.
Yeah.
And I used to do a lot of talking, but I found that you get a lot more results when you start living what you're talking, right? And really being authentic with it. So, all right. So let's talk about financial literacy, because you weren't used to this kind of money.
No.
And so take us through that. When you started making this kind of money, were you frivolous at first? Were you a bad sport with the money? How did that all work out?
Well, one of the things that I've really, really dug into and tapped into is my beliefs around money. and understanding the frequency of money and what money truly is. It's a spiritual idea. It's not even real. And so when I started to play around with this and tap into this and start to believe different things, I have realized that what I believed kept the money from me, and what frequency of vibration I operated at also kept the money from me. So for me, it's actually about having the best possible beliefs that I can have around money, loving it, but not letting it use me to use it as a tool. And I really do believe that there is an infinite supply of it. And so my goal is just to vibrationally, create that demand in my life, and keep that circulation and keep that flow going. And so I don't think it's possible to be frivolous. I don't think that it's possible to waste money or to do anything wrong or bad with it. I think it's all circulation. And if you were circulating it in the feeling of having more of it come back, it always comes back. So the times where it won't come back is when I'm afraid that it won't, when I feel like I've wasted it, when I'm scared about it, and when I grip it tightly. So when I close the purse strings, when the purse strings are open and when I'm moving and I feel wealthy and abundant, it just keeps coming. And so it's a completely different belief system. Like, I don't believe in savings, I don't believe in retirement, and I don't believe in budgeting. These are just things that I no longer subscribe to. And when people want to talk to me about that, I'm like, okay, well, we'll just talk about it in a little bit of a different way now.
Yeah. So what you're saying that you don't believe, do you believe in investing and then making the money multiply with your actions? Or you think multiplication comes from just making sure it's flowing?
I think multiplication comes from making sure that it's flowing. So for example, if I want to make like an extra $30,000, I'll go buy a $10,000 purse so that it triples and comes back. So people would be like, huh? Like, how is that investing? Like, explain. Because I'm sending out the energy of wealth and abundance, and I feel like there is it, and there's more coming, so I can spend more and it'll always ricochet back. Now, having said that, I do have investments, of course. So I have investments in multiple different ways. We own multiple different companies. And now I'm using this thinking around some of my investments. So we had one of my investments in 4 months, 10x, because of the feelings that I'm in, the vibration that I'm in, and what I expected the outcome to be. So all of this is like trial and error, but it's working.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, you learn this from Bob and the concepts, but you have to experience it and test it out. And so did you go through a phase where you're testing out and you're like, I noticed when I'm holding on to it, things come harder.
Yes.
And then when I just stay uptone emotionally and I'm flowing and I'm, just full of it, the good stuff, then it comes easy. So wait a minute, I might as well just lean into this. Like, that's.
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's truly like, when I always ask myself this question. Okay, if I had $10 million in the bank account right now, what would I do? That's like an abundant feeling. That feels good. And that tells me whether or not I want to purchase this thing. So if I'm not going to purchase it, I'm always like, why not? And that's when I uncover the belief. Oh, well, I'm afraid that this next thing that I'm going to launch isn't going to sell. So then I don't want to spend the money because I'm afraid of XYZ. So then I always take the action from the outcome I desire. So if this thing I'm going to launch is going to be wildly successful and it's going to sell X number of units, what decision would I make right now? And I'll go and buy it.
But why wouldn't you wait till you launch and then see what happens and then go spend the money?
Because spending
afterwards?
The money before it happens makes it happen.
Okay. All right. Listen,
Because
we're all taught.
Assumption.
Yeah. We're all taught that you got to plan, you got to prepare and prepare for the rainy day and all this other stuff.
I'm preparing for the success of the manifestation.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm never going to prepare for something not happening.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm the same way. But there is moments where I will go through times where it's like, shit, man, we gotta be careful here. But then it never works out when I do that.
No, because you're tightening up. You're becoming resistive. Like, it's literally, I think about a glass of water. This is something I teach in my Wealth from Within course, but like a glass of water, as I'm drinking this glass of water, there's no thought in my mind saying, oh, I should slow down because this might run out. Like, I'm always just going to keep drinking it because I want it and I'm going to enjoy it in the feeling of having water. I can go get more. I do the same thing with money. So anytime you're like, ooh, it's running out, I might not have enough, I should stop, get out of that. Go drink the water. Go spend the money.
Well, I told this story a while back. My wife, when they started delivering packages all the time through delivery, I would come home from work in the mortgage industry and there'd be packages at the door every day. And I'd be so pissed off. And I'd be like, why do you keep spending this kind of money? Like, what do you think we're making? And then I got to the point, we'll just go broke and then we'll see what happens. And then you'll see, and this is like years ago in our marriage, right? Yeah. But I didn't understand that it was a convenience thing at the time. I didn't understand how it was all working. You could get groceries and deliveries that you don't normally have to go to the store for, right? And the stuff that we would already buy anyway. But then I started playing this game, Kathleen. I started playing this game where I was like, okay, here's the game. She's going to do this regardless, and I just got to outpace her. And so I started playing this game, and then I didn't complain anymore. I said the complaint turned into, I'm just going to win. And then I won. So my wife is like that though. Like my wife, she doesn't believe in any of the normal patterns either. She just goes and the money flows. So it works.
Yeah. And it's one of the most important words that I have found in this entire journey that makes the most difference is the word certainty. And the more certain I am of something happening, the more it happens. Like the things I'm not so certain of, they don't happen. But the things that I am certain of, they show up. And so my full-time job is just to be certain of it all. Certain of myself, certain of God, certain of the world and the beauty all around, certain that I will get and achieve and have and experience and serve people in a certain way. And the more certain I am, the more the universe just gives you that certain energy back. So it's the same with money.
All right. So what you have going on right now, I want the audience to know about what they'll get out of it.
What do you mean? Like my course?
Well, your course. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My millionaire course is still my #1 program. I've created multiple millionaires, and people ask me like, well, why do you call it that? Well, it's an identity. And so I was a registered nurse that never believed in her life she would ever hold the title of millionaire. And like, who cares what the title is? It's not about that, but it's an identity. It's an assumption. It's a belief about me. I never thought that was available to me. And so when I made the decision, I'm going to become a millionaire. That's it. I'm going to do this thing. That's when it showed up for me. And so now I've just changed it to KCB billionaire. I just added a B. But that's all this is just allowing myself to dream again and allowing myself to believe in something that some people maybe would think is crazy or impossible. But the magic has shown up in my life, and I've proven it to myself over and over again. So I would say that's probably the #1 thing. And the biggest life-changing program I have is my millionaire program. Yeah.
All right. And where can people go deeper with you?
Oh my gosh, my YouTube channel, of course, it has my podcast, the Manifested Podcast with Kathleen Cameron. Notice manifested. We're not manifesting. Everything is already manifested. It's already here. So it's just about matching it. So I'm doing a live in-studio recording actually in LA in January for the first time, January 17th.
Oh, I love it.
We're going to post with that soon too.
What studio are you using?
Studio Place. You've been
there. Oh, that's my guy, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, so he set up a live in-studio audience with a stage.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're doing that next week.
Amazing. I love when people use the same stuff that I use. And I don't even know if I told you about it, but just the fact that I feel like I'm on the right track when you're using it and I'm using it. It's like everybody's...
I think I've been doing it for like 2 years now. I've been using that.
There's energy there. There's energy there.
And Andy and Michelle are wonderful.
Yeah, phenomenal. I love to hear that. All right, cool. So guys, listen, I want to make sure everybody goes support KCB, because it's going to benefit you to support her, trust me, and be around her in her aura and her environment because the energy rubs off. I have I don't know if you know this or not, but I have core values. And one of them, the very first one is vibes matter and emotions are contagious.
Ooh.
And I live by that because when I walk in a room, I got to remember that for myself to make sure I'm transferring the right energy, but also you got to be conscious of who's in your environment because they rub off on you too. Oh. And so, I love it. All right, guys. We're on the Motivation Success Network. You can check that out. It's on Apple, Roku, Amazon Fire, and also on the favorite podcast platform. You can hear that one podcast. Shout out to Dennis Postma and the Motivation Success team. Appreciate you guys. And shout out to my team at Story that shoots the content, repurposes the content. You guys can see on Instagram at Mikey C-Roc. And everybody go check out Kathleen Cameron. Kathleen, thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate your support from your angle.
Oh my gosh, my absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening. And remember, the limit never has ever existed. And so we
That's
just
right.
blow past it whenever we
All right, folks. All right, folks. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Go tell your friends, family, coworkers about That One, and be on the lookout for That One podcast tour. We're going to a city near you. Until next time, be that one.